Straight ahead on CCX News, a possible new addition for Wayzata schools. A task force believes the district should build another elementary school. Plus, a new partnership that helps North Hennepin students stay healthy and stay enrolled. And later, you'll meet a Plymouth man whose retirement is all about history. CCX News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Continued growth in the northwest part of Plymouth could mean another elementary school gets built in the Wayzata School District.
That is the recommendation of a task force that studied the issue. As Delane Cleveland reports, the issue will now go to the Wayzata School Board.
On a day when the temperature hovers in the teens, crews in Plymouth toil away in the cold, building new houses to accommodate the families who want to call the area home.
There is continued growth all the way through that northwest part of Plymouth. Corcoran has a robust growth within our school district.
Kristen Tollison says all the growth is putting pressure on the district's building capacity. For instance, Meadow Ridge Elementary just opened in September, and on day one, it was too small.
One of the things that our community has been very has a lot of pride in is our class sizes, and I think one of the things we don't want to do is get to a place where we're increasing and compromising class sizes. I think that's something that everybody feels strongly about.
To avoid large class sizes, a 25-person committee consisting of representatives of the schools and the community at large decided that the district should build another elementary school and do it as soon as possible.
Their concern was that the continued growth in the northern part of Plymouth, the Corcoran area, they really wanted to make sure that we didn't overfill our current facilities waiting for another school.
If the superintendent and school board agree, it would require the voters to approve a referendum to generate the revenue for construction. The committee hopes this happens sooner rather than later.
As soon as we can get going, the better it would be for everybody involved.
In Plymouth, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
The Wayzata school superintendent will make his formal recommendation on the new elementary school to the school board on February 13th.
A Champlin Park high school student faces disciplinary measures after police say he brought a knife and a baton to school. According to Champlin Park principal Michael George, school officials determined there was no intent to harm students or staff. However, in a separate incident, the same student allegedly threatened a teacher in a social media post. The weapons incident happened Friday, and police were notified on Sunday about the alleged threat. According to district policy, any student who brings a weapon to school or threatens a staff member faces possible expulsion.
Hopkins police are offering a $1,000 reward to help solve a carjacking case that ended in Brooklyn Park. Hopkins police tell the Star Tribune that a man with a gun ordered the victim to drive him to Brooklyn Park. The carjacking occurred outside a Hopkins apartment complex on the night of January 21st. The 56-year-old victim had his wallet and cell phone stolen, though police say the gunman did leave behind a couple of clues. He left his jacket and hat in the victim's car. A new clinic to help improve access to health care for students at North Hennepin Community College is now open.
It's part of a trend that supporters say meets a need of young people who have obstacles getting to or paying for health care.
All right, we're heading on into the clinic.
Open just 5 days, the new clinic at North Hennepin Community College has already been busy. Clinic has seen 40 patients, many of them for things like colds and seasonal illnesses, others for immunizations required to attend school. It's made possible through a partnership with Fairview Clinics and staffed by a physician's assistant or nurse practitioner who can write prescriptions.
Just this week, I had a student come in and say, I don't have time to go to the doctor. And I said, you need to just go upstairs. And it turns out she had mono.
The idea came from the students themselves. A survey indicated a need for health care services on campus.
They felt like the number of students that weren't going to get health care treatment because they either couldn't afford it, they couldn't pay the copays, or they didn't have insurance. And so this came out directly from students.
The Student Senate approved a health care fee of $1 per credit hour to completely pay for keeping the clinic open 3 days a week.
It's huge.
Austriana Flowers says the fact that it's free to use and the low hassle factor make a big difference.
I think a lot of people kind of have that feeling like, I don't want to go to the doctor's office, but I think because this is right on campus, I think many more students are more comfortable with that.
The college hopes it will help keep young people in school and keep them from missing class because of illness.
We have students that are making decisions between whether they can pay their rent or pay their doctor bill, and all of those things impact how they're going to perform in their classroom. It impacts their stress level, it impacts whether they're going to be able to focus on studying, those kinds of things.
The future may include helping students navigate the healthcare system after they leave school, and depending on the demand, they may even consider a slightly higher fee to allow the clinic to stay open longer.
The city of Plymouth is hiring. They have around 30 seasonal jobs to help keep the parks, playgrounds, and pavilions in good shape. And to attract candidates, the city is raising the wage.
We have changed the pay a bit and upped the pay for that to try to match the market that's out there in hopes that people will find that satisfaction of working for the city 7 months out of the year.
Parks and forestry crews showed us the kinds of jobs that they do in the winter, and as summer approaches, the workload grows. The city is accepting applications for full-time work beginning April 1st through the end of October. It pays around $15 an hour, and the workday runs from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. The job offers a variety of work in and around the parks, and it could be a fit for a wide range of people: recent graduates, those interested in municipal work, and retirees.
It's not a necessity to come in knowing how to do everything. It's more or less work ethic and being available during the time frame that we need them.
To apply for a position, you can visit the City of Plymouth's website, and that is plymouthmn.gov/employment.
Newly released campaign finance reports give a better idea of just how much money poured in for local legislative races. One of the most competitive races was in Senate District 44, where Republican Paul Anderson narrowly defeated Democrat Deb Calvert. According to reports received last week by the State Campaign Finance and Disclosure Board, Anderson spent $103,000 in campaign contributions. His opponent, Deb Calvert, spent $90,000. And according to a report by Minnesota Public Radio, outside spending, which candidates have no control over, topped out at nearly $890,000 in that race. 8 of the 10 most expensive races in the House and Senate were won by Republicans. Well, coming up, a Plymouth man who knows his history.
And this walking fact machine has gained quite a following, and you will meet him up next. And then in sports, wintry weather is back, and Terry Tuma drops by with his weekly ice fishing tip.
But first, speaking of wintry weather, still cold on Friday, but plenty of sunshine.
You might have heard the saying, retired people are some of the busiest people around.
One Plymouth man could claim that. He embarked on a new career after retirement, and as Shannon Slatton explains, the job gives Dan Hartman a chance to talk about a subject he loves.
At the call out for troops, people volunteered right and left. They had no problem volunteering on both sides. Now the war was beginning.
Dan Hartman is kicking off a series on the Civil War for Robbinsdale Community Ed.
Pull those states back into the Union or do something that would have solved this huge crisis that was happening.
This is one of many seminars Hartman teaches to history aficionados in senior centers and community programs that are spread out from Coon Rapids to Burnsville and from Maple Grove to Hastings.
My wife likes me doing it because it keeps me busy.
But joking aside, the history buff who lives in Plymouth never imagined his retirement would go this way. But one trip changed that.
On my birthday, my wife gave me a surprise present. She took me to the Normandy beaches.
When Hartman got back home, he wanted to share what he learned and started scheduling history lectures at senior centers.
And I started to develop followings.
So Hartman discovered he had to keep changing up his topics.
The biggest challenge I have is just coming up with topics and new topics.
Now he lists all his lectures on a website called historicalseminars.com, so people can seek out his talks that are anything but one-sided.
They know about it, and I think that's great, is they can then interact with me. They can add things.
Hartman likes sharing the intricate details of history in hopes that everyone can walk away understanding a little bit more.
As you get older, you realize that there's a lot to understand in history.
In Plymouth, Shannon Slatton, CCX News.
Dan Hartman's series on the Civil War will continue until March at the Sandberg Learning Center. He is talking about the Great Depression and Dust Bowl in Crystal on March 15th. Coming up, a Maranatha student who uses her talents to uplift others.
But first, the race is on at the Northwest Suburban Conference Nordic Ski Championships. John Jacobson has that and more coming up next in sports.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. There are some very good Nordic ski teams in the area this winter. Some were on display Wednesday at the Northwest Suburban Conference Championships. The girls up first in the second race of the day, the freestyle, as Leah Rudd of Armstrong starts first in the pursuit format. At the finish line, it's Armstrong's Dottie Anderson moving up 2 spots to take the championship in a time of 23:45.27. Sarah Olson of Blaine is second. Rudd takes third for Armstrong. Mae Barnes of Armstrong is in 4th place as the Falcons take 4 of the top 5 spots to easily win. The boys up next with Champlin Park's Ian Evans starting in 2nd place. Xavier Mansfield of Spring Lake Park cruises to the win. It's him obscured by the meet official. Evans places 2nd, 35 seconds behind Mansfield on a good day for the Rebels. Luke Crandall of Champlin Park is 6th. The Rebels win while Armstrong's Nick Byrne finishes 7th. The Falcons take 2nd place. Here's what the top local place winners had to say.
It was super fun. It was a really hard race. I mean, the course was super fun. The snow was awesome. It's sunny outside for the first time in a while. It was just great.
I felt pretty good personally. I felt like I had a really good race, really gearing up for the next races coming, but our team did awesome. We did much more than we expected to, and I'm just really happy about how we did.
Armstrong takes the girls' title with Irondale 2nd and Andover 3rd. Champlin Park is 4th and Maple Grove 5th. Osceo's in 8th place and Park Center 12th. The Champlin Park boys are champions with Armstrong taking 2nd. Among other local teams, Maple Grove is 5th, Osseo 11th, and Park Center 12th. In just 2 weeks, high school gymnastics teams will be battling for spots at the state meet in section competitions. In this week's state Class AA poll, Lakeville North is ranked first with a weighted average score of 148.658. Owatonna is 2nd and St. Cloud Tech 3rd. Locally, Maple Grove and Champlin Park are ranked 8th and 9th respectively. Those two teams both compete in Section 5AA along with Wayzata and Park Center, who fall just outside the top 10. The Section 5AA meet is February 16th at Champlin Park High School. Tip-ups can be a valuable tool for catching fish throughout the winter season. Terry Tuma explains in this week's CCX Sports Fishing Tip.
Tip-ups for walleye fishing can be extremely successful. It's sort of a form of a dead stick in a sense of the word. Maybe you're jigging in one hole and a tip-up in the other hole. And then, of course, you're going to rig it with your tip-up line. And attached to the tip-up line, I use a snap. And then on the leader itself, actually it's a leader just like open water fishing for walleyes, rigging, is tie on a black barrel swivel, and now you're able to take them off when you're transporting. If you want to try a different length of leader, different poundage of test, different colored hooks, different colored beads, that's all up to us, and we'll show you how that is done in just a second here. But with this poundage of test on, usually 8-pound test. I use micro ice poundage of test, and then I use a colored hook and a bead, if you will. The bead usually corresponding not to the color of the hook, but a different color. In other words, you're offering a little bit of extra splash of color. And then place a spit shot about 16 to 18 inches above the hook. Now you want to create a pivot action so that minnow swims in a larger circle. This is to attract these fish. And here you can use either a sucker, of course you can use shiners, and then large fatheads. All can work, and we have to do some experiment with that, be versatile. Then too, what I do is use a live bait rig holder, a snell holder, and then pre-tie these at home. So now you can have ones with blades, one without blades, one different colored beads, one with different color hooks, and all you then do is tie on that black barrel swivel, and then if you want to change or if you want to transport, then you just unsnap that snap and you're ready to go. Give it a try. Very convenient, but besides being convenient, very successful.
Thanks, Terry. Mike and Alex coming up tonight, Thursday, live boys basketball as Armstrong hosts Park Center at 7 o'clock. Back to you.
All right, thanks, John. Stay with us. Up next, we meet this week's Standout student.
And she is a Maranatha senior with a knack for uplifting others. We'll be right back.
Today's Standout student is smart, artistic, determined, and caring.
Mikayla Stein is a senior at Maranatha Christian Academy, and reporter Sonia Goins introduces us to her.
And when you take the integral, it'll be the negative of this thing.
Mikayla Stein really enjoys crunching numbers.
I'm taking AP Calculus, and it's actually a lot of fun trying to figure out the problems.
X minus.
The National Honor Society student does so many things well, it's hard to know where to start. She participates in 10 different clubs and organizations.
Book club, film club, recycling club. I'm part of these 2 multicultural international clubs.
Page 4.
The Plymouth resident is also senior editor of the school yearbook.
Yearbook has really helped me a lot, just like develop my artistic and leadership skills. I've been able to like use my design by like, you know, trying to create like themes and designs.
She's a Renaissance woman. She can do it all, and she does it all with perfection, and she's not haughty about it. She doesn't brag.
Mikayla also likes to draw and paint. She's using her talents to uplift others.
There's this memory project at our school where the art teacher has us draw these portraits of orphans from different countries. I've drawn 3 orphans from Ghana, Romania, and Haiti.
Mikayla also enjoys spending time outdoors. She loves to hike and ride horses. And when she's not doing those things, she's making music. The accomplished pianist has been playing since 1st grade. Mikayla says she stays in tune by relying on her faith.
A lot of times hard to like try and balance everything, like social life, all the clubs and schoolwork. So it's just really important to rely on like God in order to just keep that faith strong even when it feels like you're overwhelmed.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
Mikayla wants to study psychology or neuroscience, and she has applied to several universities, including the University of Minnesota and Washington University in St. Louis. And one thing about all of these standout students, they are all so busy and good at all sorts of things.
I know, every week you just say wow, and for a different reason.
It's unreal. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We will see you back here on Friday, starting at 4 o'clock.